This is Holywell churchyard here in Oxford, and this is the grave of Kenneth Graham, author of The Wind in the Willows. He was born in Edinburgh, died here in Oxfordshire in 1932, and he's buried here. His son sadly predeceased him, and he's buried here as well. He died in 1920, sadly committing suicide. His father, Kenneth, died 12 years later. And we're just going to walk over here. Going to talk about more happier things than the sad story of Kenneth Graham's son. Kenneth would have told Alistair stories about Ratty, Moley, Badgery and Toady. The Wind in the Willows, the stories that he told his son were later published, and we all know them, of course, The Wind in the Willows. But down here there's several celebrity graves. Charles Williams, one of the Inklings, along with Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. He's buried here. Walter Pater, the essayist, he's buried here. And I'm looking for a grave, I don't think I'm going to find it, of Theophilus Carter. Theophilus Carter. He's said to be the inspiration for Lewis Carroll and the Mad Hatter. Now, Lewis Carroll was at Oxford. He was a mathematician. He got his nom de plume from his real name, Lewis Carroll. Lewis, Germanic for Ludwig and Lewis. And Carolus, Latin, of course, for Charles. Charles Ludwig Dodgson became Lewis Carroll. Somewhere down here is the plot of this Theophilus Carter fellow. I think it might be that way. Yes. And he may have been the inspiration for the Mad Hatter, but the term Mad Hatter came from pre-Lewis Carroll's time, before the Alice in Wonderland stories, before Alice Through the Looking Glass. Came from Luton. Hatters in Luton. They used mercury to make the felt, to make the hats. And erethism is a disease where you're exposed to mercury. It makes you mad. So Mad Hatters were around before Lewis Carroll's time. His grave's somewhere around here, but I don't think I'm going to find it. Plot G77 if you're ever in here, in this overgrown churchyard. It's fun to see all the other celebrities in here. And I'll just go back the way we came to get out of here. Oh, I'll be stuck in here forever. And a Luton, by the way, a Luton is also a type of van used for carrying hats, and it has a special section above the cab. So it's a big box van with a bit above the cab, and that bit's for carrying hats. Hats were in long tubes filled with hats, and they could stick them in and stick them over the top of the cab. So that's a Luton. Just so happened that in Luton there was a major truck manufacturer called Bedford, and Bedford made Lutons, but it was just a coincidence that they were actually in the same town. So if you want to hire a van in this country, a box van with a bit above the cab, then you'll be hiring a Luton. So from Kenneth Graham to the Inklings to Lewis Carroll to the size of vans, all of that is talked about in a cemetery. A little plot of land like this, which I can't get out of. I think it's this way. Yeah. So there we go, Holywell Cemetery in Oxford.